afternoon, everyone, and welcome to one of RVN's still on the newer side television shows, What the Why with Barbara Ann. If you haven't seen us before, our show features conversations with diverse leaders from all walks of life about why they do what they do and how they figured things out. And today's guest is no exception. In your case, maybe you are sick and tired of feeling sick and tired, or maybe you feel stuck and you want to get unstuck. All of our guests have something in common with you, and that is at some point in their lives they felt similarly about what they were doing and they decided to make a change. Our guest today is Michelle Beauchamp. She's the founder, so Michelle wears many hats, so let me just be clear about that. She's the founder of the Champ Group in Orange County, California, so she's going to be joining us by Zoom. She's a C-suite executive leader for the C-Suite Network, a corporate trainer for Brandman University, which is part of the Chapman University system, and a faculty member of the American Management Association. She describes herself as a workplace communication and leader and management trainer. She's certified public speaker, and she is a diversity, equity, inclusion consultant. For over 25 years, Michelle has been passionately helping companies create inclusive cultures, increase sales, and build winning teams. She delivers customized training programs to teams and conducts one-on-one coaching to reinforce learning and growth. She was recently appointed as a lead hership Global DEI Council Leader, which gives her the opportunity to share her diversity, equity, inclusion, and leadership experience and mentor others and impact the knowledge that they attain. She's also a Maxwell Leadership Team certified coach, a trainer and speaker, a Drive for Inclusive Cultures to Thrive licensed FOR, so I'm gonna have to ask her what FOR stands for, facilitator and speaker, and she is an Everybody at the Table licensed. Michelle holds a Bachelor of Arts in Communications from the University of Colorado and serves in several volunteer capacities for organizations that include everything from the National Association of Women's Business Owners to Breast Cancer Awareness with Avon and others. I'm very excited she is able to join us from California by Zoom. So without further ado, please welcome Michelle Beauchamp to our show. So yay.
Yay, thank you, Barbara Ann.
I'm so glad we were able to make this work. I've wanted to have Michelle on my show since I met her through a group that we both participate in, and I took a class that she was offering on LinkedIn that was in this space. So, and Michelle knows, as does all of you who are joining us today, I always ask our guests after running through the list of all of the amazing things that they're doing in their lives, I don't imagine that this is something that you knew you wanted to do when you were little. So what did little Michelle want to be when she grew up?
That's funny, Barbara Ann. That was a long time ago. Thank you for inviting me to be your guest. And that was a lot that you read off. So thank you for making me feel like I've done some things in my many birthdays that I've had.
Absolutely.
When I'm little Michelle, you know what, used to want to be an actress. Isn't that funny? An actress and a teacher. Those are the things that I wanted to be when I was little Michelle. And it's interesting to see now where I'm at is that the dots connect, and you're probably going to talk to me a little bit about that. But as a teacher, I totally am a teacher now because I do training, right? And I feel as though a lot of times it is acting, because sometimes if you don't feel like doing something, but you know you're committed and you have the conviction, then you do it anyway. Well, isn't that what actors do? So
Absolutely.
I feel like the dots do connect.
Yeah, you're
from
right.
what I wanted to do when I was little Michelle to now that I'm full grown, mature Michelle, that I'm actually doing.
Okay. So how did you find your way into working with leaders and executives in all of these different capacities?
You know what? I feel as though I've been really blessed because I've had some great experiences, right? Really great experiences. I worked in corporate for over 25 years, and I've been an entrepreneur. And through the many things that I've done, helped me understand the good leaders that I had and the guidance that they gave me, the belief that they instilled in me, and the trust that they gave me when they handed projects over to me, and trained me how to perform those projects to the extent what they believe they should be like. Two, and I've also, had leaders who weren't very good, right? I mean, I remember having one leader that she gave so many people so much angst that they had to have Maylocks in their car, in their desk drawers. And
Wow.
so I had a lot of examples to what I thought leaders should be like, because in my opinion and my belief is that our job is to help lift people up to achieve their best potential.
Hmm.
And so that's really started making me excited about the leadership development, leadership training, is recognizing the experience that I had, some that I observed, and a lot of experience that I actually had, the work that I really try. I hope that people who used to work for me say, yes, Michelle was one of the good leaders that I had, because that was always my intent. Now, what I'm not saying is that I always got it right,
Sure.
especially the first time, but I knew what I was trying to do, which was pour belief and potential into people who were working to, because my belief too is that people really do want to do their best. That's my belief. So from the leadership perspective, that's what brought me to where I'm at, and through being an entrepreneur in several different businesses and having worked for many different companies. Like I said, I've had a lot of experience, which now brought me to where I am now, and decided I want to do my best. What I like to do, what is really help people become their best self and unleash their inner champ, right? To help them grow to reach their potential.
And hey, the champ part of your name works really well in terms of what you do. So, talk to me about some of the clients to the extent that you can, obviously, because there's levels of confidentiality. But who are some of the types of clients that you've worked with?
You know what? It's interesting. There's no one particular industry. It's agnostic. So for me, when I first decide that I want to talk to somebody, if they reach out to me or if I'm reaching out to them, it's that they really believe in developing their people. So number one is that they believe in having a budget that aligns with helping people grow to pay for their training and development. That's important to me. Um, and you know what? My clients are very diverse. And typically, they either have leadership programs where they are working with emerging leaders and they're giving them skills, helping them understand, the value of the traits that are necessary and essential to leading people to where the company wants the team to go and where the individuals want to go, to make sure those are aligned. And so that's one criteria, is that they have the commitment, the conviction to do that for their team. But they're very diverse. All industries. I work with a lot of different industries, and you know what? That helps me to continue to grow. But the main thing that I focus on too is people development. And here's what I want to tell you, Barbara Ann, and this isn't going to be news to you, but right now, what I know companies realize is that they can't just focus on the productivity and the tasks
Yep.
anymore. They have to focus on the people. And so
Mm-hmm.
when the people are okay, and this is what I work with my clients on, when the people are okay, when they have a chance to get listened to, when they have a chance to be creative and, psychologically safe to be in the space, suggest ideas, ask a question, not feel like they're going to get shot down. When people are okay, then they produce. So what
Yes.
I'm happy about is that companies now start to realize that. When I was growing up in the corporate world, Barbara Ann, that was not the case. It
Yep.
was leave your problems and your concerns at the door,
Mm-hmm.
come in here, hold your head down and get your work done. So now what I'm really encouraged about is that that's not the case, right?
Yeah.
And that's the people that I work with. And as you know, and as you said, um, the areas that I've been focusing on most lately are leadership and then diversity, equity, and
Mm-hmm.
inclusion. Because when companies do really recognize what inclusion means, then they can hone in and focus on that so that their people can thrive and their organization can thrive.
Absolutely. And this is something that I'm very passionate about too, in terms
Mm-hmm.
of, so many of us who work in this space, those of us who've been doing this for 30 years plus,
Yep,
um,
exactly.
found ourselves, I guess, accidentally in some of these types of roles. Whether it was, token, and I don't use that word lightly, but even it's surprising that even someone in their 50s or 60s has often been the first this or the first that, sometimes as recently as within the past 10 years. And everybody kind of looks at you and says, okay, you're here, we've diversified, great, now what do we do? And too many organizations, and I'd love for you to expand on this, haven't really set the stage. One of my, mountaintop speeches has been, if you don't start with inclusion, then equity, then diversity, you're just setting people up to fail. And so I would love to get your perspective on what you're seeing, because so many times companies think that they're going to have a workshop and solve the problem. And that's so not it. And you're working with companies to implement full-on diversity strategies.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Barbara. And one thing you just said was a workshop.
Yeah.
And that's never enough. And that's never enough regardless of the subject being trained. You go to a workshop, you're excited, you got some good information, then you leave the workshop, whether it's virtual or in person, go back to your work, and then you kind of forget about it. So a workshop, regardless of the subject, is not effective. I mean, it's good if the purpose is motivation and inspiration, but if it's for behavior change, then it's not enough. What I'm seeing is that, I'm going to say I'm encouraged, because we all know that in May of 2020, the world woke up, right?
Yep.
And it became very public. We all became very aware of the racial and social injustice. So let's just put that out there. That's the truth. What I'm encouraged about is that now we're toward the end of 2022, and companies are still recognizing it. And here's what I think, Barbara Ann, because they're becoming more aware of the importance of inclusion, they're looking at diversity in more than a couple of ways. Before, diversity meant, for the most part, race and gender, right? For the most part. So that's still super important. So we always need to focus on that and making sure that we have diversity with race and diversity with gender, right? For sure.
Absolutely.
But I think that one area that companies realize is that it means so much more,
Absolutely.
With generations.
It really
right?
does.
I mean, we have a lot of generations, so we have diversity of generations. We have so many disabilities, people with disabilities. That is becoming more well known, that we have to focus on that. We need to focus on that, and recognizing the biases that we have toward people who might be a little different. And when people take a look around at their screen or their room in their office, hopefully they're starting to see diversity. Here's what I know too, though, to be true, is that in the top leadership roles, there is not a lot of diversity.
Correct.
There might be women and men, right? And there's not yet a lot of diversity. And when I work with companies and we do surveys, that continues to be a concern from the employees, is that they are not seeing the representation in the leadership and the C-suite, so that they feel like, if you see it, you can be it, right? They're not seeing that they can be it because their leadership suite is not portraying it.
Agreed. So hold that thought. Hold that thought.
Seems to be something you're going to add to that.
We got to take our break, and I definitely want to continue this conversation. So please come back to us after the break for more on our conversation with Michelle Beauchamp and how she's making changes in the corporate world, working with leaders. Welcome back to What the Why with Barbara Ann and my special guest today, Michelle Beauchamp, the CEO of the Champ Group and so many other hats. And before the break, we were talking about how working within companies is great, but when you survey the employees, whether it's nonprofit, government, for-profit, what we tend to find is the leadership at the top is not diverse. In some instances, it's not even a little bit diverse, be it race, be it gender, be it ability or even neurodiversity or a whole host of other things that really are all encompassing of what it means to have a diverse environment. It's not just about race, although race is a huge part of it. So some of the things that you were hearing, you were starting to share in terms of the employee feedback about what's going on in their organizations.
Right, exactly. So they tend to be disenchanted because when you see it, you can be it, and they are not seeing enough in their C-suite of people with difference, a lot of diversity, right? So what I'm seeing companies are trying to do, and a couple things that I recommend are: one, expand where they recruit from. Companies know that it's not a good idea anymore to just tell the current employees, tell your friends, tell your network that we have an opening, because most of the time they might look the same and they won't have a diverse network to draw upon. So one of the things that companies are definitely realizing is the importance of reaching out. Not only to schools, I mean, HBCUs and all that, but also different organizations. I mean, whatever the industry is, if it's accountants or engineers, then what I'm encouraging them to do is reach out to the various associations that apply to that particular industry, right, and that particular specialty. And this takes extra work, and we do know also that a challenge is people have been leaving, right?
Yes.
So some people are doing a lot of work, and it requires a commitment, because people have to do extra work, right? It's not the same as it used to be. So one thing though is reaching out, doing something different. If you keep on doing the same old thing, you keep on getting what you got, right? So we all know that doesn't work. So reaching out to other people, other kinds of people, so that we can attract. And then what we have to do is retain them and help them understand. This is another thing that I see a lot. Quite a few people are saying they don't know what might come next. What do I need to do to get more training? What's my next step after this? So leaders having conversations with their employees about what needs to happen next and how can I go about getting there, so that we bring people in and then they stay. Because one thing that's happening is people come, they get disenchanted, then they leave. So it's starts all over again. It's a vicious cycle. So the other thing that we have to do as leaders is to help people understand what they need to do to get promoted, pay attention to them, give them feedback, whether it's positive or an opportunity for them to grow, but give them feedback so that they can want to stay, can be loyal, want to stay, and see how they can get promotion and then get a promotion, right? That's the only way we're going to see some differences in the C-suite, is when people stay, get promoted, and recruiting in other areas. So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. And they have to be authentic about it. For example, one of my team members at Purposefilled was looking at opportunities with an accounting firm, and before I hired her, and it was interesting. I won't out the entity, but they are a top 100 company, and they were only doing diversity hiring in their external marketing arm. All the other internal positions were not part of their diversity hiring efforts. And it sent a very clear message that they just wanted to look the part. Okay. That it really wasn't about making true
to that
change.
Point, people are concerned about their companies doing window dressing and saying things but not following up. And that's why I call this a journey, Barbara Ann. It is a journey. I mean, we're not going to have it all solved by the end of 2022, or I don't know. I think it's evolving.
Yes.
And here's the good news about it. It means that we as humans get to evolve, and we get to change our perspectives. We can change our attitudes, and we can take some different actions. And that's what I really try and work with people on is, if these are the actions that you used to take, what are one or two things that you can do differently to get a different result? And that's going to continue. I mean, this subject has changed. It changes all the time, and it's changed a lot just in the last couple of years. And I think it's changing for the better, but it does require that people have open minds and open hearts. And to your point, not just saying something, but doing something different. It requires a lot of effort and a lot of conviction.
Yeah, and a huge part of that is not trying to force people into their cultural box. So, and so how do you work with leaders. You know, I've had so many different roles and even worked with leaders that I coach that have said, well, I want to make sure they fit into our culture. Well, that's part of the problem.
Oh yeah,
Is your
you're
existing
right. You're spot
culture.
on. So here's the good news. The good
And
news
there
is
is
that they
always
say
good
that,
news. So I
right?
know I'm
Because
pushing
then they
you.
think it.
So go ahead. There is good news. I know I'm pushing you in terms of the envelope, but I want people to realize that there are actual solutions that
Yeah.
you can work with
And
companies to implement.
so it's all perspective. I mean, I ask people to do a lot of introspection and a lot of reflection because we all do have bias, right? We all
Yes.
have habits,
If you have a
and that's
brain.
why it's good. We are all a work in progress. But just that word that you said, you're right. They say, oh, they're not really good fit. So now what I really ask people to do is, well, based on their experience and their background, what can they add to your firm, your department, your organization, so that you're not looking at it as they don't fit, they're not the same as us, so no, we can't hire them, to wow, they've done this, they've done that, this is their background, it's a little different. And being mindful and aware. I mean, I know some companies say, well, if they didn't go to certain schools, certain top schools, then we don't want to hire them. What if they didn't get an opportunity to go to those schools?
Yeah.
What if they're the truth, it's true, there has been so much systemic discrimination.
Yes.
So what if people didn't get a chance to go to that school, and you could take the responsibility to change someone? What if that, like the starfish, what if you could change someone? If you took a chance and you gave them an opportunity. That's why I started off by saying I do believe I've been blessed and fortunate to have had a lot of really good opportunities, because people always have to take a chance on us, no matter who we
Yes.
are, what our background is. But people took a chance on me, and that's what we all need to do for somebody else, is to give them an opportunity and to remove those biases and those stereotypes that we have and those bad habits, and replace them with new perspectives. Think outside the box, get outside the comfort zone, go be with some people who you've never been with before. They're most likely not going to bite you, and you're going to live to tell about it, and you're going to breathe, you're going to live to tell about it, and you can make a difference. And that is a big mission for me, is to really help people, oh, man, get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And speak up, and as a woman of color, I'm pretty much always out of the comfort zone.
Yes.
And it's based on where I live. I live in Orange County, California, right? So it's not a very diverse area. So I'm always out of my comfort zone. And guess what? It's okay. It's all good. And other people, I hope, will be willing to get out of their comfort zone too, because the more we get to know each other and figure out the differences that we have can be advantages for all of us, then the more we can be unified. Now, that might sound kind of, like a dream, but it's a dream that we do have control over. That's the thing. We're not talking about anything that we ourselves don't have control over. We have control, and it's my hope and wish that people begin to take control to make this place a better place.
And I really think they will. And that's the perfect note to end on. We are already out of time.
Okay,
I always run out of time.
fast.
I know, it does.
Well,
It goes so
thank you so
fast.
much for inviting me today, and I hope that the people today
Thank
were able to
you.
get a feel for, the purpose, what the why, and my why, because I know that we can all have better days ahead.
Absolutely. What's the best way for people to reach you if they would like to do so?
Thanks for asking that. My website, www.thechampgroup.com, and my email, michelle@thechampgroup.com.
Okay,
Those would
perfect.
be the best ways that I would say to reach out to me. And I would love to hear from people, to have a conversation, find out if you're struggling with something, your people at your company are struggling with something that I might be able to help with. And again, thank you so much,
Thank
Barbara.
you. And maybe we'll have you back. So thank you again for being our latest inspiring guest. And
Thank you.
for those of you who watch, please tune in for our upcoming lineup of guests, including but not limited to Marty Pack of Whale of a Tale Productions and other activities, Bonnie Clayton, owner of The Web Chick, The Tech Geek with a Creative Streak, Julia Gandy, CEO of Embodying Wellness, Anita Grace Brown, author and yoga instructor at Grooveology, Tom Drucker, CEO of Consultants in Corporate Innovation and specialist in psychological safety, and then Lisa Hillerin, author and owner of Lisa Hillerin LLC, my first ever guest on What the Why, who's going to be updating us on what she's been doing lately. So please believe me when I tell you don't want to miss any of our upcoming exciting guests. As a reminder, What the Why with Barbara Ann airs on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and on Mondays at 3:30 p.m. And it's on demand, sometimes same day, but usually within 48 hours of our first airing on Tuesdays. And please remember, whether you want to make a change in your life, no matter how big or small, in your career or in some other path that you're on, please tune in for exciting conversations with future guests similar to Michelle, who figured out what their core purpose or mission in life was and overcame whatever obstacles may have stood in their path and any fears that might have prevented them from moving forward, to move forward with purpose, achieve their goals, and live their mission.